tool fans from around the world, tool aficionados. This is going to be episode number 2 for Food for Thought, Tools for Thought. I want to talk about tools, gadgets, whatever you want to call it, that have helped myself working as an automotive technician and basically making myself more efficient in the workplace. Talking about fasteners in current day engine bays, a lot of times they can be recessed locations, even blind. You can't even see the fastener, you can only do it by feel. Obviously we have traditional hex, 6-point hex bolts, nuts, but we also have hex fasteners, in hex fasteners like Allen socket cap screws, and of course we got Torx, Torx Plus, XZN, external Torx, you name it. There's quite a few out there nowadays. So in the topic of the main theme here today is gadgets or tools that have helped me at the workplace become efficient, not get frustrated from losing fasteners. As you remove the fasteners from whatever component you're removing, you might drop that fastener, and that can be a frustration, and that is also a loss of efficiency. So I just want to showcase, I brought back these items, select items here from work, and I want to go through them one by one. So let's take our normal hex bolt, for example. This may not be the best example. You're probably not going to find something like this in the engine bay, but just for example's sake, this is a 16 mil hex bolt. Various ways of retaining this fastener in your socket. You can use masking tape, you can use what is that called, butyl tape, to keep and stuff it in your socket so that you don't lose your socket. But there are other alternatives, such as this one. Basically there's a magnet that's fastened in there, and that is one way of retaining that bolt. Now there's one of the cons of this is that if you're working on a nut where the thread protrudes through the nut, then you basically are not able to engage the nut, if you know what I mean. To deal with that, there's this version here where it's actually a pass-through type, and you got two magnets on the ends, on the sides. So, sorry, this one is a 13 mil. I don't have a 13 mil bolt here, but I think you get the idea. Here, this is an 8 mil, but so you can still work on nuts. So there's that version. Now I think the best of both worlds is this from Koken. It's their nut grip sockets. There's 2 balls on either end, which is retained by the spring, the wire spring, and that also provides the tension against the fastener, the 2 balls. So, and with this type, it takes the best of both. You can also work on nuts with threads that are protruding, and not to mention it does work on stainless steel fasteners as well, if you encounter those. So that's a Koken nut grip. Next up, let's talk about socket cap screws, Allen socket cap screws. So I got from a recent purchase, this is a Wera, a German brand. It's manufactured in the Czech Republic. Basically, there is a ball that's pressed in and it's sprung, and I can press that with my thumb fairly easily. What that does is it secures the fastener. Now, this is a recent new item to the Wera lineup, but I don't have a hex bit socket as an example, but I do have a hex key, which utilizes the same idea. So if you're into machine work, I don't use hex keys a lot, but if you do a lot of maintenance work on machinery, type like this is available. So holds the fastener. Excuse me. This one is from a brand called a Japanese brand called Asahi. They've been making this type of tool for over 10 years, maybe 12 years ish. So I got two of the same type of socket cap screw. So just to illustrate, obviously this is not a scientific test by any means, but oh, there we go. So it seems like the Wera one holds a little bit better, but that probably depends on the tolerance on the fastener, etc. Next is, let's just say you use a lot of screwdrivers at home. Sorry, I don't have a Torx screwdriver, but let's just, because I'm going to be talking about Torx screws eventually. So this is a T25 screw. Let's just picture this as a Torx screwdriver. You want to be able to retain that fastener. Right now, I can't do anything. I can't hold it in place. So there's a product like this. This one's from PB Swiss, but I know Wera makes one. I'm sure they're VH. Yeah, I don't know who else makes them, but get yourself one of these. You can maybe even make one yourself. I don't know how this is constructed, but basically it's a magnetizer. So as you can see, I cannot lift this screw right now, but I just swipe this once, and now I can hold that screw. So this is one way of retaining your fastener on the end of your tool. One example. You can also demagnetize it as well. So now it takes, yeah, there you go. So that's one example. You can do this on your regular standard like bit sockets. You know, I've done that at work, and you can do that as well. I use impact cordless drivers all the time at work. So I have bits like this that I quickly chuck onto my drill driver. Now Torx, I deal with a lot of Torx screws all the time, and the last thing I want is having to fish that Torx screw that I dropped. So I have this product here from Anex. It basically slides into your bit like so, and that basically becomes a magnet. So it holds quite well. So that's just basically reassuring, knowing that that Torx screw is not going to fall off. likewise, even on a long screw, maybe not as strong, but that could be adjusted for by sliding that forward a little bit more. Okay, maybe not the best example, but nonetheless, it does hold. It is helpful. Some years ago, when Wera came up with their hold function tools, I think this was their introduction of their hold function tool. It came in this format. So what this is, it's a special machining process that's done. Basically, it's a taper fit. So when you insert that into the screw, so basically, let me get that in there. So there, it holds the bit. It holds the fastener as well. So this is one way of doing it. Now, as far as I'm aware, they only come in this length, but nonetheless, it is a useful tool, I found. Although I find that there could be tolerances on the fastener itself, where I found that the tool, you got to make sure that it fits deep into the fastener head, because otherwise, especially if you're using a cordless driver, you might end up camming out or stripping the fastener. So just make sure that is inserted properly, and then apply that trigger. Now, when it comes to bit sockets, bit drivers, like this one, you may be in a really tight, confined space, and you don't want to lose that fastener. So you could magnetize your bit like this using the magnetizer. Yeah, that works too. Right now, obviously, I can't hold it. So Anex does offer this product here. And that just basically attaches to the end of this bit driver, like so. And now I can hold that fastener. So that is yet another example of a handy tool. In fact, I forgot about external Torx. So external Torx I also deal with at work. Culkin does offer a product. Before I show that one, I'll show you what I've done with the impact sockets. I inserted a magnet, just like the one that I showed you earlier, same type, like so. So that's one way I deal with E-torx fasteners. Now, there are aluminum ones, and obviously I cannot hold that at all. So Culkin does have E-torx with the nut grip feature as well, so that is one way I can deal with that. Now, Torx fasteners also have, E-torx fasteners also have different tolerances, different profiles, so this is not the do-all end-all. It may not work for every type of E-torx fastener. So yeah, so that covers this Tools for Thought episode. Not sure what I'll come up with next, but I hope you guys enjoyed and get something useful out of this. Cheers, guys.